Well, hello, Ben.
Hi there.
I'm so glad you came in today. I wanted to let you know before we start the session, just let you know some things about what we're going to be doing here today. I'm going to ask you some questions. You ever feel uncomfortable or anything at any time, let me know. I also want you to know that everything that you say in this room is confidential. It stays with me, and I will not be sharing that with anybody without your permission. That is unless, and I doubt this will happen, but I have to let you know this, that if you ever express and want to harm yourself or others, then it's my responsibility to protect you and protect other people. Okay? Why don't you tell me, we got any questions about that?
No.
Okay. Well then, why don't we go ahead and get started if you're ready, and let's go ahead and start with you telling me why you're here today.
Sure. All right, so I guess about 6 months ago, I graduated from college, undergraduate degree, and
Pause.
So I graduated from college about 6 months ago, and I went to Boston University. I'm from Florida, Tallahassee.
Okay.
And college experience was generally good. I really enjoyed it, and I went alone. I didn't know anybody when I got there. But I had a good experience, met a lot of great people, and I got a degree in business,
Okay.
which I never really was interested in. And my dad was, I wouldn't say he necessarily made me do that. I mean, he didn't, but he's a businessman, and he's an engineer, but he
Okay.
thought, in his mind, I think going into business is just the logical thing to do. So I'm a good math student, and right before college started, I sat down with the advisor and my dad, and we discussed what path I should take, and it just seemed like they have a new business school at Boston University, and it was kind of exciting. In the first 2 years, you could just take sort of a general liberal arts set of classes, and then if you have a certain GPA, they allow you into business school for your final 2 years. And so I did all that. By the time I got to my senior year, I realized I wasn't interested in studying business anymore. And I looked in briefly to changing majors, but it would have required me to stay at college for longer, and I didn't want to do that. So I decided, okay, I'll just graduate.
Okay.
So I did, and so I have a degree in finance, and then I went on a road trip with a friend of mine, and we left, drove all around the country, really, out to the West Coast, and took about 2 or 3 months to do all that. And great time, but I really was, I felt something, continued to feel that, and started to feel it, I think, even before I graduated. Maybe actually I did, because I went on a trip, spring break of my senior year with a different friend of mine. I started to feel anxiety without any idea what that was about. I still don't know. But I, on this road trip, was smoking marijuana every day. My friend and I, that's just what we did, and I've been smoking marijuana for a few years now in college. And we did some other drugs too, ate mushrooms, and a couple times, not a whole lot, and we were drinking casually, not too much either, but I'm pretty sensitive, I think, to all those things, and they may be making things, I don't know what I would feel like if I was clear in my head,
Okay.
because I'm not, I haven't been for a while, but that being said, I feel pretty strong disassociation, I'd say, kind of feeling, something I experienced a couple years ago. I had a really horrendous experience during college. One night I was smoking some pot that ended up, that it was poisoned. I ended up in the hospital, and I had a very out-of-body experience that was the most terrifying thing I've ever dealt with in my life, and had to really hold on to any shred of sort of normality I had to not kill myself in that moment. And I was, got out of that, but I think it affected my brain. And so fast forward to now, I've gotten through this road trip and I had a good time, but definitely felt very anxious about, I think on the surface, what I'm going to do next with my life, and I have no idea really. So have some thoughts about moving in with some friends in Chicago, but I don't know about work, and that kind of thing. I have some vague ideas about what to do, and I definitely feel some pressure from my family, if not imaginary, maybe it's real, about kind of, okay, now I'm done with college and gotta work.
Okay.
So it's kind of, generally speaking, where I'm at.
Okay. I want to be clear about what you've told me. It seems like we're dealing with a few things, and I want to know how they connect. So you talked about how you felt unsatisfied in school with a degree that you weren't really very passionate about, maybe from influences from your family, maybe not. And then we also talked about, or you talked about, some experiences with the drug use and just smoking marijuana. And I want to make sure that I understand the connection between these two, especially since you talked about doing a road trip or spring break and the road trip where both of these times you feel anxiety. And I want to know, do you feel anxiety only when you're out of the situation using drugs, or do you also feel these same anxieties when you were at school? Do you feel them now when you are not using? Is it only tied to the marijuana?
No.
Okay.
I felt the anxiety for a while. I think it's more pronounced maybe when I'm in these situations because I'm out of my home, even if it's a temporary home like an apartment in college or something. But I feel more comfortable when I have a home to come home to, wherever it is. I enjoy traveling and that kind of thing, but I think it's generally a bit unsettling for me, and I usually look forward to returning home. So that may be part of it. It kind of exposed. I think the most recent road trip also was very much a transition period. I mean, I literally just graduated from college and don't have anything to go back to for the first time in my life. I don't have a plan. And, just talking about it doesn't seem to me like that big of a deal. Like, okay, something will happen. But I think deep down my subconscious is more afraid of it than I realize.
Okay.
So yeah, as far as the drugs go, it's hard to say for sure what it would be like. I don't know what level I'd be considered as far as the amount of marijuana that I smoke, but on the trip it was more or less every day. Generally speaking, 2 or 3 days a week, 4 days a week. During college it was probably something like that, and it hasn't really seemed to affect my ability to study, and my grades are good, and my social life is good. I've had no instances of any negative consequences, or on the surface, again, it does. Maybe I'm tired a little bit more than I would be, but so as far as a deep emotional impact on my life, it's hard to say how much impact that really has.
Okay. So you just said that you are moving in with some friends?
Maybe.
Okay. If that was for sure, if that was signed everything, where you're going to be staying now, how do you think that would change anything, and in what way, about how you feel?
Maybe a little bit more settled. I think I'm probably going to do it. It's not that they don't, it's my decision. They've asked me to move in. So I think I'm going to, and I don't really have a good alternative that is appealing to me. I haven't really thought about an alternative. So yeah, I think that's a good thing. They're great people. I really love those people. They're great friends, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. And a new city that I don't really know should be fun too. But it's just kind of a new stage in my life, and I think that I'm nervous. Sad, I think maybe also about leaving behind this period of my life that is like my youth, I guess. And school and kind of safety and a plan that's structured for me. Now I have to figure it out more on my own, do something I'm not familiar with, go to work. I've been working since I was in high school, but not full-time most of the time, and not anything with really any consequences, So We'll see, I guess. But yeah, I've been the fear and the anxiety, it's very scary. It's not. I don't know how to compare someone's fear or anxiety because I don't know what it's like to be anybody else.
Okay.
But like I told you before with disassociation, I experienced that for the first time with that incident where I ended up in the hospital. And the only way I can describe it to people is a feeling of a loss of any identity at all. No concept of being a person, no concept of reality, that's not true. Some concept of reality, but the feeling of, it's the very edge of sanity, I think, because it is, when you don't have an understanding in the moment, every second is horrifying because all that went through my head over and over again was, are you a person? What does that even mean? And so forget anything else. It's just really, really scary.
Right.
And so the feeling I had in the hospital once I started to come back to reality was so pure. It was the most pure feeling of bliss and joy I've ever had in my life. And it was all I wanted in that moment was to tell everyone how much I loved them, and I just felt the love that people have inside of them. I felt it very clearly. And I think what I take away from that is, one, that's maybe a truth of life, but also that it's very important to me to feel that connection and to connect with people, and to have had that kind of dichotomy of feeling so removed from everything completely and so alone and scared in a few hour period, I think maybe that stayed in some way. I don't know, that the drugs are probably not a good idea.
Okay.
Because I think they more likely take me closer to that place of fear. And some kind of stability is probably a better idea. But, so maybe that's something to work on getting away from.
Okay.
And even on the road trip, I knew I needed to get away from it. I didn't really want to even be doing it. But it was fun, sort of, and it was what I was doing, and I just kind of kept going with it and telling myself I'll figure out what to do about this later. And so, yeah, I guess that's a lot of talking.
Well, what I'm hearing, and you can let me know if I'm completely off track, but it sounds like this, given everything else, given what you told me about school and your uneasiness, it really sounds like you're focusing more on this incident of what you call disassociation. And it sounds like it was very traumatic. So, but since then you've continued to use marijuana, something that caused you to have this thing. So tell me about how you feel about this use.
Well, whether the marijuana caused me to have it or not is, apparently I was poisoned.
Oh.
The marijuana was sprayed with something called mortine, which is a fly insecticide, which they found in my blood.
Wow.
And the same thing happened to two of my friends the next 2 days, smoking stuff that was out of the same batch. And I don't know why it ended up there, in insecticide, maybe the crops were sprayed with, who knows. But so being high while being poisoned probably didn't help things, and so yeah, I think my brain is pretty sensitive and sort of, I think it's kind of this mixed bag. It's like, for someone like me, and again, I don't know what it's like to be anybody else, but the drugs are really exciting and fun because my brain goes to this other place that it really can kind of, I don't know, I just enjoy that experience of really opening up. But also, it seems to affect me pretty strongly, even when it's, I don't know, in an emotional way. I don't know, maybe some people can just smoke it and they kind of just enjoy the experience, but I deal with it. It hits me in a deep way, I think, a lot of the time. Sometimes not, sometimes it's just very superficial in a way and fun. But I also feel a little, I don't know, schizophrenic's the right way to put it, but a little kind of, I'm one person sort of when I'm using it and another when I'm not. And So definitely the drugs are maybe a major contributor